Welcome to Sewing Cover and Chain Stitch with the Bernina L620. I'm Doris Breckbuell, educator and overlock specialist at Bernina International, and I'm in love with this machine. In this tutorial, you will learn how to set up the machine and perform a sewing test. You'll also see how to begin and end a seam in a circle, and I'll share with you my tip for unpicking cover stitch. In the description below, you'll find an overview of the content in this video so that you can easily navigate to those topics that interest you most. You select a stitch using the stitch overview. Symbols show you the settings and also which path to be threaded or not. For 4-thread cover stitch, for example, all 3 needles are inserted and all 4 threads are threaded. A wide cover stitch uses left and right needle. For the narrow cover stitch you have 2 options, and also for the chain stitch you have different options. The machine is threaded for 4-thread cover stitch. We set the tensions to 4, that's the default. You can adjust the tensions between 1 and 9. Different fabrics and threads may require different settings. For the sewing test, we set the defaults when using universal threads. Stitch length is set to 3. You can adjust it between 1.5 and 5. Differential feed is set to 1. That's the default. It's adjustable between 0.7 and 2. More on tension, stitch length and differential feed you will see in our video tutorial Tips and Tricks, different settings for the L620 cover stitch machine. Presser foot pressure is also set at default. M you can select between low, medium and high. The machine is threaded. The looper thread is hanging into the looper area, 10 centimeters or 4 inches long, and the needle threads are in the thread cutter. Like sewing machine stitches, cover and chain stitch are only built with fabric. Therefore, for the sewing test, place your fabric fully under the presser foot and start sewing. The needle threads will be pulled through the presser foot. The looper thread is pulled up through the stitch plate under the stitch. Needle stop down eases the process so that nothing shifts. At the end of the seam, stop with needles up, raise the foot, and if you pull the needle thread between presser foot and fabric and cut the needle threads, you can then pull your sewing sample to the rear, and while you do so, the needle threads are pulled towards the underside of the stitch and your last stitch is secured. The first stitches are secured by the following stitches. That's how you perform a sewing test with cover stitch. The stitch is very elastic and stretchy and flat when not in use. Same procedure applies when you sew in a circle or for a tubular item. I have prepared a hem 3 centimeters wide. Place it under the foot and the lines on the cover stitch insert will help me guide. Also here, needle stop down. Make sure nothing shifts unintentionally. Before the last stitches reach the first, I cut the needle threads. I also cut back the looper thread. And now the marks on the presser foot help me guide precisely. I sew a couple stitches over the first stitches, raise the needles, the presser foot, pull the needle thread and pull the project towards the rear, and last stitches are secured. And the looper thread has been neatening the fabric edge. Of course, I always pull the threads between the seam with a tapestry needle, but you secure your threads in your preferred method. Same procedure applies when sewing a chain stitch or a narrow cover stitch. With this, we've been performing a sewing test with cover stitch, looked at how to begin and end in a circle, and if you're not satisfied with your sewing test, for example, when you have a loose needle thread or need other amendments, please refer to our video tutorial on stitch optimization, tips and tricks. And if you need to optimize, maybe my tip comes in handy: how to unpick cover and chain stitch. This is really very easy. I've prepared a circle because it does not really matter where you start. You start with cutting the needle threads. Then you undo one stitch. If you have a stretchy fabric, it's even easier. Just slightly stretch it. If you now look at the underside of your stitch, you pull the chain looper thread and your stitch will become undone from basically the seam end towards the seam begin. If you're in a circle, go towards your stitching begin or end and just continue with the other stitches. That's how easy you can unpick your cover and chain stitch. And by the way, I love chain stitch for basting. When I have a new pattern, I bast with chain stitch because it's just so easy to undo when needed. With this, we've been looking at sewing test, seam begin and end in a circle, and undoing stitches. For more, refer to our videos on tips and tricks, or on maintenance, or on threading your machine. Chain stitch, of course, is not only good for basting, it's ideal for gathering, for hemming. Also, if you need a decorative hem in one of your projects, it is ideal for bindings or decorative stitching in one of your projects. Cover stitch is, of course, the stitch for hems in stretchy projects, useful and decorative. It is your stitch for hems with elastic. You can use it for flat joining seams with lace. You can use it to top stitch cuffs or for decorative seams. You will have many options to use your L620 cover stitch machine. If you click on the link, you'll find more tutorials for your Bernina L620. If one of the tips has been helpful, give us a like. And we would love it if you subscribe to the Bernina YouTube channel.
Bernina, made to create.